I lost $100 with Instagram influencers, and today I'm going to tell you exactly how that happened and how you can avoid having the same fate. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Zach, and if you're new to the channel, learn all the secrets of the e-commerce world simply by subscribing to my channel and hitting that little bell icon so you don't miss anything. So today guys, I'm telling you the entirely true story of how I went ahead and lost myself about $100 while using Instagram influencers. Now the timeline of this was quite a while ago. This was actually one of the first influencer campaigns that I actually ran. However, I see these mistakes being made by a ton of different people, and I would highly recommend that you watch the entirety of this video if you are wanting to get into Instagram influencers, because this stuff is very important that you do not do. Right, so when I got into Instagram influencers, I was just a big-eyed, excited boy. I was like, oh boy, Instagram influencers, this is such a great potential to make a bunch of money off of a small little investment, and it's very scalable. I can just put it out to a ton of different influencers and I'll be great, right? This isn't exactly what happened. So I put my ad on about 4 different accounts, and I made maybe 2 sales, and I spent over $100 on all of these shoutouts. Now the math does come out to losing about $100 when all was said and done, and I gotta say, that's not the best. Now I have run more campaigns since then, and I have learned a lot about Instagram influencers, believe me, but looking back on it now, this gives me quite a big perspective on why exactly I failed, and here are the 3 reasons why I failed. So first of all, what did I do? Well, really it's what I didn't do. And the thing that I didn't do was I didn't really look too deeply into the pages and the effectiveness that they bring along, right? And what I mean by this is that, yeah, I went ahead and I looked at the pages, I looked at the engagement rates, I made sure that they were getting real likes and comments on them, but I didn't really go deeper than that. And this is a really big problem because most people really don't go deeper than just looking at the engagement and making sure that the page is actually real. But there are quite a few more factors that come into play. And there's 2 things that I could have done differently in this step that would have immediately told me that these pages were not very good for what I was doing. So first of all, the huge thing that really screwed me over was that for all of these pages, the demographic that these pages attracted were not the demographic that I largely sold to on my store. So I started off with a bit of good knowledge. I actually started off running Facebook ads, and I made several hundred sales before I ever attempted to do Instagram influencers. So I had quite a good idea of my general demographic that was buying from my store, who I appealed to most, and well, I didn't really take that into account when looking for an influencer, okay? When I went on these influencer pages, I was like, okay, maybe the demographic's a little bit different, but it's not gonna be that big of a deal, right? How big of a deal can it be? Well, it can be pretty bad. And in my case, the problem with the demographic was that it was a much younger age than what I normally sell to. My main age demographic is about 25 to 30 or 25 to 35 or in that area. A big portion of these followers were 18 and under, and I realized that that is absolutely terrible. These people do not convert. So I was just showing my product to a bunch of people that may have thought it looked pretty nice, but that didn't actually have the money or the means to buy it. So it wouldn't have mattered how good my product or advertising was if the audience that I'm showing my ad to can't buy it because they either don't have enough money or they're just like not at that stage where they buy a lot of stuff online. Yeah, I'm just gonna fail. It's as simple as that. So if I had done a bit more research and actually looked at the followers of the account and looked at the accounts of the people that were liking its most recent pictures, I definitely would have seen this demographic trend, and I definitely would have backed out of it, but I didn't do this, and that's why it screwed me up. And the second part of this first reason was that I didn't actually look at the previous shoutouts and their effectiveness. So on these accounts, most of them kept their shoutouts up after the time had come. Like it's just a one-time fee and then you have your shoutout on their page forever, right? So I had the privilege of being able to look back and see all of the other shoutouts that had been put on the page, but I didn't really do a lot with this. I looked and I was like, okay, I'm selling some of these items, good, but I didn't really look at the effectiveness of these posts. I didn't look too much into the comments on what people were saying, and a thing that was with this page specifically was that they would post one picture and then they'd have a slide and another picture, and that picture was the advertisement. So they put the real picture first and then the advertisement second. So most people weren't even seeing the advertisement, and if I would have known that had I actually gone to the comments of some of these ads and looked at them, because every single one was talking about the first picture and not about the advertisement that followed. Knowing I knew this, I knew the format of this before getting into it, and I totally should have backed out, but I didn't, and I can see why that messed me up. Number 2, and this is also a big one, and this is something that you really need to consider and spend a lot of time on when you're getting into influencers. You need to make sure that you have a really good product and product picture. So in my case, what I was selling was a product that pretty much everybody in my niche had seen. Every single store that was selling this item did some kind of influencer post and showed this item. And it wasn't even just the item, it was the exact same picture that I had used that everybody else was using. So really, it was the same ad being shown across a ton of these different pages in my niche of the same item in the same exact way. So all of these people that are following these accounts are going to be so numb to it by the time my ad actually shows to them that there's absolutely no way that they were going to end up converting. And when I say my picture was pretty plain, yeah, I mean it was pretty plain. It was just the product on a white background, absolutely nothing good about it. My caption was terrible. And if you want to learn how to make good pictures and captions, I have videos on my channel for that already. Highly recommend you check those out, because this is definitely one of the biggest, most important aspects of Instagram influencer shoutouts, is that Instagram is based around pictures, and if you don't have a good picture, you're not gonna do well. And that's something that I kind of knew, but I didn't really know how to kind of enact upon that, but now I know. So when you're doing these posts, make sure that you try and get an item that people don't really see. Get something very exciting, and even if it is something that people have seen a lot, present it in a way that they have not seen. Even if it's the most common item, just create a different ad campaign than everybody else is doing, and you'll immediately stand out, and I guarantee you'll do so much better. And number 3, and this is a bit of a scary one, and a lot of people don't like to do this, but what I did not do was I didn't try and bargain with the influencers. And you may be like, Zach, can you do that? And yeah, you totally can do that. If you're new to influencers, you probably would not know that, right? You'd just be like, hey, I want to shout out, what are your rates? And then they'd be like, oh, $25. And then you're like, oh great, send my picture out. And that's what you'd think it is, but that's really not it at all. You can actually provide a bunch of leverage towards yourself getting a discount in this if you just kind of stand your ground and be like, hey, I know what I want. This is how much I want to spend. Give me this, or I'm backing out and you're getting no money, right? And you obviously can't say it that way. And I didn't really know how to go about doing it at all, but really it's pretty simple. And there's one thing that you can really do to really make your prices a lot lower and just make yourself a lot happier, is that when you do these shoutouts, you can put them up for a time period of about 4 hours, okay? Now, when people do Instagram influencer shoutouts, they usually put them up for 12 hours, 24 hours, or forever, right? And these are usually charged, the pages usually charge a certain amount for 12 hours and then more for 24 hours. Usually, if someone comes to them with a 4-hour request, they'll drop that bad boy down to like half price. That was in my experience, or in my most recent experience. Most of them are willing to work with me when I'm like, hey, I just want a 4-hour shout out. Can you do about half price for that? Most of them will be like, yeah, or give a pretty close to half price discount. So that's a fantastic way to just cut your costs down immediately. If not, all you have to do is be like, ooh, that's a little steep. Other accounts in this niche with similar engagement have given me this. Could you consider going lower? And just kind of work around them. And you remember, you don't have to do a shout out on their page if you're really not feeling it. If they're like, no, this is solid, just back out. It's not that big of a deal. You have the better feel for how your product is going to sell and how people are going to react to it, so definitely pay for what you think you're going to get out of the influencer. So guys, that's how I lost $100 on Instagram influencers. Don't be like me. Make sure you have these 3 things in check. So if you enjoyed what I said, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, check out these videos over here. Very, very helpful. Highly recommend you check them out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.